Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy urged Democratic governors to prepare early legal and policy defenses against the Trump administration as he leaves office this week. He said coordinated lawsuits and state enforcement can blunt federal pressure. The White House rolled out Trump's great health care plan, promising lower drug prices and direct payments to consumers. Policy experts said key details are unclear, including how it would replace current Affordable Care Act subsidies. The Nobel Foundation said the Nobel Peace Prize cannot be transferred or shared, even symbolically, after Venezuela's Maria Corina Machado handed her medal to President Trump. The statement clarified that only the original laureate holds the award. A federal judge in Minnesota ordered federal officers not to use chemical agents against peaceful protesters during immigration raids. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said agents weren't using them, despite video circulating online. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei blamed the U.S. and Israel for violence during nationwide protests and said several thousand people were killed. He vowed punishment for what he called organized unrest. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro wrote in a new memoir that Kamala Harris's team asked during vetting whether he had ever been an Israeli agent. Shapiro said the question was offensive and raised broader concerns about bias. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt warned CBS that President Trump would sue if a recent interview was edited, according to a recording. CBS aired the full segment and said it always planned to run it uncut. The Pentagon put about 1,500 active duty troops on alert for a possible deployment to Minnesota as President Trump weighs invoking the Insurrection Act. Minnesota leaders warned the move could escalate unrest in Minneapolis. Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. California Governor Gavin Newsom ordered free entry at more than 200 state parks for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. He said donations will cover costs after federal officials ended free entry at national parks. Saturday Night Live opened with a sketch of President Trump recapping what it called his recent legal-ish actions. The show's jokes focused on his pardons, court fights, and pressure on federal agencies. A new CBS News YouGov poll found 65% of adults disapprove of President Trump's handling of inflation, and 61% disapprove on the economy. Many respondents said lowering prices should be his top focus. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said the surge of federal immigration agents feels like an occupying force and urged residents to stay peaceful. He warned aggressive ICE tactics could escalate clashes and undermine trust. The Trump administration's effort to halt offshore wind is running into court setbacks and mounting costs for developers. Judges have allowed several projects to resume, but permitting fights and financing delays remain. Authorities in Lakewood, California, say a man shot and killed his wife and teenage daughter at their home, then killed himself. The couple's older daughter was not injured and called 911. U.S. officials held back-channel talks with Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello months before the operation targeting Nicolas Maduro, sources said. The contacts continued afterward, including warnings not to target opposition leaders. Hundreds of counter-protesters in Minneapolis drowned out a small pro-ICE rally led by far-right activist Jake Lang near City Hall. Police separated the groups after scuffles, and the rally. Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. An Army reservist says his Venezuelan wife, seeking asylum, has been held by ICE for weeks after a routine check-in. He says he still hasn't been told when she'll get a court hearing. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt warned CBS that President Trump would sue if a recent interview was edited, according to a recorded exchange. CBS then aired the full segment and said it intended to run it uncut. Saturday Night Live opened with a sketch of President Trump giving a mock legal-ish update from the White House. The cold open targeted his clemency moves and pressure on federal agencies. The Pentagon placed about 1,500 active duty troops on standby for a possible Minnesota deployment as President Trump weighs invoking the Insurrection Act. Minnesota officials warned sending troops could escalate clashes around Minneapolis. President Trump urged Rep. Julia Letlow to challenge Senator Bill Cassidy in Louisiana's GOP primary after Cassidy's impeachment vote. Letlow hasn't entered the race, while Cassidy says he's running and expects to win. Courts have blocked parts of the Trump administration's effort to halt offshore wind projects, allowing several developments to move forward. Developers still face delays and higher costs as permitting fights continue. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy urged Democratic governors to build a coordinated legal strategy to resist Trump-era policies, including early lawsuits and tighter state enforcement. He said states should prepare before federal actions land. A new CBS News YouGov poll found 65% of adults disapprove of President Trump's handling of inflation and 61% disapprove on the economy. Many voters said lowering prices should be his top priority. U.S. officials held back-channel talks with Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello months before a U.S. raid targeting Nicolas Maduro, sources said. Officials warned against retaliation and kept contacts going after the operation. The Nobel Foundation said the Nobel Peace Prize cannot be transferred or shared, even symbolically, after Maria Corina Machado handed her medal to President Trump. The foundation stressed only the original laureate holds the award.